Welcome to the podcast, where we teach you how to create marketing that pops. Get ready for refreshing conversations with industry experts, trendsetters, and creative minds that'll leave you bubbling with inspiration. Get ready to turn up the volume on your business. Let's get popping. Well, welcome back to Marketing That Pops. I'm Olivia, and we have Michelle back in the office.
My employees are happy about that part, but
No, we're happy. We missed you. I know you were having fun down in Florida, but yeah, you got to be back in Michigan. So how was Florida, Michelle? Like, how was Key
Florida
West?
is awesome. I love it there. And I love that, even though I might have a stressful day like working, I can at least step outside for 5 minutes and just be like, ah,
Mm,
sun. Okay. All right. I'm relaxing. I'm relaxing. Then I go back into work.
yes, we're almost there in Michigan, so then I can experience what you're talking about. But when the whole time you were down there, it was like snow, rain.
I know.
So I'm like,
And
uh,
the sun just makes you feel better. And it's like, okay, like, then on the weekends, I'm like, I just have to be in the sun. I have to be in the sun. Ah, it feels good. So, yeah, no, I love it there. So, it's a very different culture down there. So,
Mm. What do you mean, Michelle?
it's I didn't wear pants the whole time I was there. It was like shorts every day
Mm,
and flip flops. It's like you really don't even have to hardly wear makeup because it's
it
too hot
sounds like the
and it's
life.
humid and it's yeah, so that part is really nice, and basically I had my hair in a ponytail most of the time. So that is like really nice. And then also there I'll get up early and then I take Tucker for a walk in the sunshine
Mm,
for, like 20 minutes or something before I start my day. So then it's like off to this really good start, right? And then
mhm.
here it's like dark, cloudy. I'm like, oh, I don't want to get up. Okay. Shoot, I'm late. I gotta get
Yeah.
to work. So yeah.
Well, we'll have our moments soon. The sunshine is out today, so we're on the
Sunny
up and up.
day. Yes, I know. I'm like, oh, it's kind of warm out there. Yay. And it's almost the weekend.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
Almost. Few hours.
Yeah.
Today we're on the final stretch.
Well, we're happy that you're back in the office. And we can do this. We're not really face to face. She's in her office. I'm in mine. We're just testing this out to see how this goes. But yeah, we're happy that Michelle's back. And today we're going to be talking about building your marketing budget. That's very important when it comes to marketing. I mean, you have to have some of these things in place. And we'll get into, do you always have to have a budget? Like, how large does your budget have to be? All of the things surrounding that. So, obviously, we want to start off with our myth. So, Michelle, what would you say when someone says a large budget means that you're going to have a successful campaign?
Um, I would say, well, not necessarily.
Mhm.
It depends. There's no magic answer there except for, I think the biggest issue with marketing budgets is if you just spend all this money and you're not tracking it. That's really what gets you into trouble because
Mhm.
you can have a very small budget but have like better results because one, you're like very particular and you're tracking everything versus if you have $100,000 budget, you track nothing. It
Mhm.
okay, maybe you got the word out there, but at the end of that year, if you're not looking at the results and what did that get you,
Mhm.
you know, it how can you even make a decision the next year whether you want to do that or not do it? So it's, it's a tricky. There's not a yes, no. It's a it depends.
Mhm. Which, I mean, that's kind of indicative of marketing in general anyway. It's really circumstantial, and it depends on the market, it depends on your product, it depends on you, depends on how creative you want to be. We'll get into it in a little bit, but I have some examples of a few brands that didn't necessarily have large budgets and what they were able to do with just being creative. But yeah, like just to go off what Michelle said, it really just depends on how you utilize it. And I know we probably sound like we're beating a dead horse, but you have to track. You have to you
Yeah.
have to make sure that you are paying attention to all of the things that are going into your budget because you know, you could have this grandiose budget and put all of your eggs in one basket, but if it doesn't produce anything, then it's like, well, that didn't really work out so well, huh?
That kind of reminds me of weight loss, right? So say,
Mhm.
what do all the nutritionists and everybody tell you? Track it, track it, track it. Like, are you tracking? That's the first thing they're going to ask you is, are you tracking like what you're eating? Are you tracking this? Well, we can't really know what the problem is unless you're tracking it. And
Mhm.
if you're not documenting every time you take a bite of something,
Mhm.
then it's hard for us as a dietitian to tell you what is right and what is wrong and why you're not losing weight. And so it's the same type of thing. It's, are you tracking it, right? Like, okay, we did this campaign and we wanted this result. Well, I think we got one lead. I don't remember.
Mhm.
Okay, well, so we either know or we don't know. There shouldn't be a in between kind of
Mhm.
weight loss. It's like you either lose or you gain or stay the same. But, it's like if you tracked every single thing and you stayed within this certain range that the dietitian told you,
Mhm.
you're probably going to lose. But if you're just willy-nilly and eating whatever, but yet you're complaining that you gained weight. It's like, well, okay, like it's just
Mhm.
you have to track everything basically.
Yes.
Comes down to.
And the other thing that you really need to pay attention to is, let's say um, you're the marketing director or you're in a marketing position, and you're going to your owners or your CEOs or your higher ups to ask for certain marketing dollars. I mean, it's good to have that, and you should obviously ask for some marketing spend if you are wanting to do some, cool campaigns or anything like that. But before you do that, you gotta have a plan.
Mhm.
Um, because you could have all the money, but if you don't have a plan of, like, what it is that you're gonna do, then, well, that's kind of, problem number 1. Uh, you gotta know where you're gonna be spending and have a plan of how you're gonna execute. That helps with multiple things. Number 1, it's gonna help you to be able to sell to, those higher ups, those owners, those CEOs. And number 2, it just kinda ties back into what we've been saying of being able to track and to understand, maybe you're gonna spend a few marketing dollars, on social. Maybe you're gonna do some on some publication ads. Maybe you want to try something new that you haven't done yet before. So having those plans in place, is just essential, really.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, and sometimes it's hard to do the plan until you know what budget you have, right?
Mhm,
Because I mean, there's a lot of free things that you can plan, ahead, but um for example, if you can't really have a plan and go to like 5 different trade shows if, you have a $5,000 annual budget, right? So
right.
it's like you really have to they kind of go hand in hand together, to okay, like I want to do these things because last year we did this. And typically that's how I always tell people to start. Well, how much did we spend last year?
Mhm.
Okay, and then of those campaigns, what was the most successful? Okay, let's focus on that one. And what ones did we not track? Did we not? But say you didn't track it and you don't know. And you just you did get a lot of leads from this trade show, and it was like great visibility, like those types of things you can at least put in the plan, and then go pitch it to your supervisor and say, hey, I know like we got 300 leads added to our database and we had really great conversations. We didn't sell anything, but I wouldn't say it's not worth it because of this. And so I think we still do need to go to this. And, but this year I'd like to sponsor, or I'd like
Mhm.
do this, or maybe I'd like to add in another trade show because it takes you like this many months to get through all of those leads. And so maybe we need one a quarter or like two a year or whatever that may be. And just before you go to your supervisor, do your research to figure out
Mhm.
how much that stuff costs. So say, I want to do radio. Okay. Well, how much is it? How many ads are we gonna get? Like, are they 30-second? Are they 60-second? Like, it's just you can't just go, "I feel like we wanna do billboards," and then go to them, and then they're like, "How much are they?" So, it really is a lot of research and figuring out, like, all these different marketing tactics. It
Mhm.
is hard to, like, plan without actually at
Trying
least having
something.
some kinda idea, like
Mhm. And
yeah.
the other thing is, like, when you're going to your CEOs or, like, the owners or whatever, your supervisors, you should be talking to them about, like, what's important because, like Michelle said, maybe you did do a trade show and you do wanna do a sponsorship, and the reason that you're wanting to do a sponsorship is, we got a lot of leads, but not everybody the leads that we got, like, the people didn't understand our product. They didn't understand what it is that we did, and it's so then it's like, "Okay, so we need to do a campaign that's geared more towards letting people know more about what it is that we do. We need to be more of like brand awareness and um trying to get that buy-in in that way like people are interested in but it's almost like we have to like reintroduce ourselves after the fact so kind of understanding your clients and like where people are at kind of in the funnel of like understanding and knowing who you are that can also help with building budgets and like really knowing which avenue is the best for you to go down.
Mhm. Yeah. And even if a campaign maybe didn't do well, but you feel like, okay, maybe that first year we kind of messed up on that. Like
Mhm.
we didn't scan, the people's badges or, like there's always something that you can do better.
Mhm.
And I like to encourage like after you do a campaign, let's do a recap. What went well? What did not go well? If we do that again, how would we want to improve upon that? Because
Mhm.
I think just about ourselves, the first year we did a big trade show, it was as for a small company like us, that's a big expense to us. It's not only the trade show, it's like giveaways and
Mhm.
travel and hotel and all these other things. What was the most engaging conversations and like knowing, do I ship it myself? Do I ship with this? Like
Mhm.
there's so much to it when we're talking about like big trade shows and that. But not all marketing is trade shows, but it just gives you that idea of, okay, well, this year we're gonna do it this way. And just
Mhm.
like always pivoting and
Mhm.
like adjusting to make it a better campaign. And whether it's that or say landing pages too. Okay, we did this campaign. It sucked. It was terrible. We didn't get any leads. Okay. well, what was the messaging? Did we have a call to
Mhm,
action? Did
mhm,
Why do you think people didn't, it's really trying to understand, because sometimes it's, well, maybe it was you. Maybe that's maybe that's why it did good. Like, let's take a look at it objectively. And I know, like working with clients, sometimes we can recommend, but sometimes they still want to do things a
Mhm.
certain way. And that's why A/B testing is always like helpful, because then we can do it a couple ways and see which way had the better conversions.
We have a whole podcast episode about that when your client is not in agreement with you. So if if you're struggling with that, go ahead and give that one a listen. We had a bunch of good tips on there for you, so check that out. But the other thing that Michelle has, said is just like sometimes it's not going to go right, and that's okay because it's a learning experience, and it only helps you grow and like get ready for that next thing. It's like, okay, like Michelle said, maybe it was you, maybe it was the messaging, maybe it was landing page, maybe it was just like maybe somebody just made a mistake. But you have to make mistakes in order to be able to grow, to learn, to get better. But sometimes you just hit it on the head and it just goes well, and you're like, wow, I don't know how all these things, these pieces came together, but this went so well. We need to do this again. Like, how can we build upon what went well? So, you know,
Yeah,
taking those minutes and those seconds to debrief, it's very impactful.
that reminds me of something too. So I did this direct mail campaign for one of our clients, and the first one did amazing. Like, we killed it. Like, we were getting like all of these like form fills and phone calls, and I'm like, sweet, like I rock, I'm awesome, blah blah blah. Let's do it again. And so we kept doing it again, and then it was like nothing. And I'm like, what the heck? And so that's the other, I guess, takeaway, is that just because it worked once doesn't
Hmm.
mean it's going to work every single time. It could have been the messaging, even though it was the same type of campaign, a
Hmm.
direct mail. But what was it like in that first one that was so impactful? And
Hmm.
chances are the client wanted me to change the copy. And
Hmm.
that's probably like what the issue is, or we changed it, us, like,
Yeah.
and so you just got to really be careful on doing that. Just because you did a Google ad campaign and at like month one you got like 15 leads, and then month two you got five, it's like, what's going
Yeah.
on? Let's figure this out. And like, I love like troubleshooting and trying to like figure that out too. And
Hmm.
um so it's just, it's not easy. Marketing is not easy. It's hard. I'm here to
and
tell.
and sometimes it's just like the season, like it has to do with like the time frame of like when things went out, or like when in the year you did this, like maybe people were paying more attention, so like all of those elements of the research, like that is a part of all of that. So just track,
Mhm.
track, track. But what I wanted to ask you, Michelle, like, what do you feel like, if do you have any tips for tracking? Like, what are your like go tos when it comes to being able to deliver on um, tracking, or just being able to tell the client, like, we can tell that this went well because X, Y, Z.
Mhm. Well, there's a lot of different ways. Um, and again, it depends.
Hmm.
Um, but for us, we use HubSpot. And so it's important that you have a CRM where you can keep track of all of those things. In the end, like, what I like to do is pull all that data and put it in one document. So, say, for example, we do a email marketing campaign, and in HubSpot, you can create a campaign. Like, you can like see like how many people clicked on this page, how many went to this landing page, how many people filled out a form. You can see like your traffic spike like on Google Analytics, and so
Mhm.
I continue to keep looking for one platform that like does absolutely everything. And that is difficult because there's so many different marketing tactics that you're doing. So say if you're doing, okay, we're doing an email marketing campaign, that's one thing. But if we're doing like Google Ads, like, well, you gotta go into Google Ads, pull the conversions, pull the numbers, and so my go-to is just like taking all the different things you're doing and like pulling those numbers into a spreadsheet. And
Mhm.
I know that's the hardest way. And there's not really like a perfect automated thing. If for some reason you can integrate like all of the different marketing tactics into one platform, that's ideal. That's the perfect scenario. But sometimes not everything integrates with your
Mhm.
platform. And really it's just the old bring into a spreadsheet. Like we've all started with spreadsheets and then like we evolved to like AI and these
Right.
marketing automation and all these other things. But the true thing is the numbers, the conversions, where are they? And then also like how does that calculate to dollars and
Mhm.
ROI? And spreadsheets will help you get there.
Yeah.
There's no easy way to do it, really.
Yeah. And the thing that I would just recommend, I mean, there are some platforms that will do like 50% of it or even 70% of it. But I will say that there is something to be said about being able to actually go into Google Analytics and go into Google Ads, or you're looking at your CRM and you're looking at all of your contacts in there and like really digesting that information. It just helps you to understand and be a better marketer, to understand like, these are all the different points and you're getting your eyes on it. You're looking at it and it's not just AI that's pulling all this information for you and regurgitating some like sort of result. I just think it helps you to understand even more and like to help you build a better campaign, to better understand the pitfalls of, where something may have gone wrong. Like, sometimes things get disconnected with these accounts and it's just like, why is this thing saying that we're having this good spike, but this is not saying that? Like, I've run into that, and I may have not have noticed if I had only looked at this one platform, if I hadn't drilled down and looked a little bit further to kind of understand more and get better information. Like, you just have to do the work sometimes. And I think it just makes you a better marketer overall.
Mhm. Yeah. And I like to do marketing tactics that I can track. The
Mhm.
the easier I can track it, the more I want to do them because I want to prove that, hey, we did this, we generated this much money. And there's a couple marketing tactics that I am not a fan of because I cannot track them. And it's one, billboards,
Mhm.
because how you can't. Yes, you can ask people, how did you hear about us when they come in or whatever that may
Mhm.
be. But that is kind of a manual thing. And say two people said they heard it from the radio, that converts to, well, everybody said they heard it from the radio, and so it's like, well, exactly how many, like
Mhm.
unless your team is trained that regularly that they have to ask this, you're not going to know on a billboard. However, billboards are great for brand awareness. If you're a new
Mhm.
company or you have a new storefront, things like that, just understand though that it's brand awareness. Like, we have to do this because we need to let, like, the masses know that we're
Yeah.
there,
Yep.
and you're not necessarily gonna be able to track it very well. Radio, the same thing. I mean, you can always add in you can do a call tracking number, which that would be a great thing if you're going to do radio, because then it's a different number that people are calling. And then we know, oh, we got 10 calls from this phone number that was in
Mhm.
that radio spot. Okay, like that's how many calls we got from the radio, But some people may not call. They might just Google you and go to your website and then fill out a form or call you from the number on your website. And that's a whole nother thing. You could have a separate like phone number on your website too. Like that could be a separate call tracking number too, to know that okay, we got this many phone calls from people
Mhm.
that landed on our website. So I don't know if I
Yeah.
answered that question.
I feel like you did. I mean, basically,
And the
there's
ramble.
lots there's lots of different ways that you can track. That's a good example about the call tracking, especially with those kind of marketing tactics like radio. It is harder to track. Obviously, when we have like more digital spots, like on Spotify and some radio stations, they do have like digital ads and things like that. And you can click on your impressions and like how many clicks that they got based on that. But traditional radio, it's hard to track. And so when you are as a marketer or if you're a business owner, you do need to just understand it is brand awareness. Like
Mhm.
it's it's great if people come in and tell you that heard your ad, but more so than likely it's like they probably heard your ad, then they researched you, then they wanted to come and buy from you.
Yeah, I mean, I've had clients that have been with me for years, and we've been doing like drip marketing. We've done billboards. They had vehicles with the phone number on their
Yeah.
cars and
Mhm.
graphics and all that jazz. And we've done ads. We've done like so many different things. And I can see this, client like in our CRM that, okay, well, the first campaign we sent them was 5 years ago, and they've been getting our emails ever since, and they've downloaded this many ebooks, and we sent a printed newsletter, and they were in their car, and the company vehicle was in front of them, and they made the call. Now, which is the
Right.
campaign that was
Mhm,
the most effective? All of them.
mhm,
It's just a combination of that. And then the other thing to point out is it's not one thing, right? It's multiple. It's they saw me on the billboard, they seen the vehicle, they get the emails. Oh, wow, you're top of mind. Like you're the company that I always hear about. And so when I do need that service, hey, who's that company I get those emails from all the time because they're cool? Then that's going to be the case. And for ourselves as well, like we have once, like we get you in our database, you're like getting drip emails, you're getting updates on our podcast and all of that. And so it may be 3 years later they reach out,
mhm,
but it's because they're getting our stuff. We're reminding them that we are
mhm,
here when they're ready. And it's really just all of these different platforms and ad campaigns working together
mhm,
to just be in front of them. The statistics are that it takes 7 times for somebody to react to you. They have to see that message 7 times, and then maybe they'll get around to it. Thinking about myself, like, I think, "Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, that's good. I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna, like, call them," and then I get busy and I forget. I'm like, "Oh, shoot." And then I get another meeting. Okay, yep. And I like on my phone, I edited it to my cart. Somebody walks in and I'm like, yeah, okay, how can I help you? And
yep,
then all of a sudden I get all these messages. Hey, you have all these abandoned carts or you have this, or it's like,
mhm,
oh, yes, I know. Like people get busy and they forget to like finish
mm,
that whole process of that. sales funnel and like finishing out that thing. So maybe
Mhm.
they went to our site, but started filling out a form, but then they had an employee come in and ask them a question. And then they're like, yeah, I'll get to that later. So,
Mhm. So when it comes to budgets, it's all about planning, managing, optimizing, pivoting. It's it's about all of those things so that you can have a good overall marketing plan. That's really what it comes down to. The budget is just a piece of it. Sometimes that helps you to get to that next step, but sometimes, and we'll talk about this now, sometimes you don't necessarily need that. So there's a few companies that had very limited budgets and they were able to, really grow with these small budgets. So hopefully this will inspire you and help you to know that, it's possible to have a successful campaign even if you don't have a large marketing budget. The first one that we'll talk about is the Dollar Shave Club. So the Dollar Shave Club is pretty much, I mean, it's everywhere. I've seen their ads all over the place, but they really started very small. And they started with just like a viral video that they posted on YouTube that I think it only cost them a little under $5,000 to produce. And it got millions of views. And it generated a ton of buzz. And then now you got these people signing up and purchasing. They probably just had an idea to make this fun video and they went for it. They took a leap because they believed in their product. And that small video ended up changing their whole business. So think about that. Another one is Airbnb. When Airbnb first came out in the earlier days, like they didn't really have any money to let people know or to even get people to sign up to want to put their house up for like to have people stay there. I mean, like the whole concept of it is kind of crazy if you really break it down. Um, but they just basically went off of user generated content. So they found a few people who wanted to sign up and they liked the model that they had come up with and they just used the photos that the people were giving. They used the testimonials and it just kind of caught on by wildfire. And now, you got people who want to stay at an Airbnb 10 times over going to stay at a hotel.
mhm.
And what was it, like, probably 12 years ago? That's not a thing. Like, nobody was even thinking about doing anything like that. So then we also have GoPro. So when the GoPro first came out, it basically was just they didn't have a lot of money either. I mean, none of these companies really did. So they just encouraged their customers that did buy their cameras to share their videos, share the fun things that they were able to capture with these cameras that they had created because, they had spent a lot of money making the product. And so they just relied on the fact that what they had produced was a good product. And they used the customers' videos and all the different things that they had made to kind of make this widespread brand awareness. And now it's like you get so much brand recognition, especially like when you think about you're going on a trip. I gotta bring my GoPro. I'm gonna go snorkeling or any of those fun things that you can do when it comes to capturing adventurous moments. Those are three really good examples of these, especially the Dollar Shave Club, because that was just kind of like I'm not sure if they were on Shark Tank or not. I'd have to double check, but they just were small companies and they just started with an idea and they used what they had. And sometimes it's you don't always have to have this big large, grandiose thing in order to make something be impactful. Just think about how you can be creative and think about where your customers are and who you want your end user to be who's going to be using your products or your services.
Mhm.
That's really what it's about.
Yeah, I think it's getting creative and narrowing in on your audience and not doing the pray and spray method of we're just gonna like throw it out there, whoever grabs it, okay, great. just really like understanding your ideal client and zooming in on that. So, um, a while back, I was at a conference and I can't even think of the name of Donald Trump's reality show he had where he was firing everybody. Oh, The
Oh,
Apprentice.
yeah,
And
so
so there was like somebody that was on that show
mhm.
and he's really cute. And I'm trying to think of what his name is. But, anyways, he won. And I saw him speak at a marketing conference and he was talking about he had a list of like 50 people that were his like ideal client. So instead of spending 10,000 and praying and spraying and throwing it all out there to whoever grabbed it,
Mhm,
he knew these people would be perfect for this. And so he did a lumpy mail to them. And basically, and it was kind of like the Dollar Shave Club thing
mm,
where, but he put it in a box and it was like some type of shaving stuff. And then you open the box and it had like all of these like very cool things and it was very custom and you could tell that it was very individualized just for that one person and it went crazy and he just made like millions because of it. But yeah, it's just really like zooming in, who is your dream client and like
mhm,
figuring out who those are and making a list of those people and then doing a special campaign just for them. So it doesn't have to be, you don't have to spend like send out to 10,000 people. Like you can send out to 20 and then you're not spending, as much as you would, but maybe per piece it may be a lot, but then on the flip side, like understanding the conversions might, it's going to be harder to get a conversion if you're only mailing to 10 or 20, like if you get one, that I guess that's the other thing too. Like think about it in the end, like if we can just get one client from this campaign,
mhm,
it was worth it, right?
yeah,
And you just want to make sure you get your money back plus, you know,
mhm,
plus that. And then set those goals up before you do it. And then that way, that's going to be like super helpful too. Just to like think about it. So, say if you're considering like Google Ads, okay, like if I spend $1,000 a month and I get one client, is that worth it? Or is it, do I need 10 clients to be able to say it's worth it? And then determining, okay, this is this is what we, the goals and hey, we met our goals in the end.
mhm,
One thing that you might want to consider if you have no idea on a budget number is take a percentage of like your revenue. And typically every industry is a little bit different on what that percentage could be, but it could be anywhere from 5 to 10% of your marketing budget should be based on, 5 to 10% of your revenue. And so, um, that's like a good starting point. If like your normal marketing budget is 5%, but this year you have a goal of doubling your revenue, obviously, like maybe you need to be at the higher percentage of that, um,
mhm,
or even more. But, you just don't want to have it 50% of your marketing budget be based. That's not going to work, because
mm,
you still got to run the company and you got to still pay for everything else too. So,
yes. And as you were talking, you kind of reminded me of this story I had just seen, and I was trying to look it up, but I can't find it. But I'll just kind of give you a general explanation of what happened. But it's kind of going back to what you were saying about the apprentice story. But there was this guy, and he created, he has this like kind of like wet wipes, like baby wipes, sanitation wipes. he had this brand and he was really trying to get to sell to this airline. I think he was trying to get in with Delta, and he just kept being consistent. And he had this one contact that he finally found, and he just went and researched on the website of, who is the person in charge. And he kept trying to like get a meeting and get a meeting, and he just would, kept emailing. And then finally he had a call with him and he was like, I'm actually stepping down from this position, but I'm going to get you in contact with the person who's taking my spot. So, same thing happens. He keeps trying to contact this person. And finally, something happens where the guy's like, we already have a deal with this other company, but, if you want to send me your product, go ahead. And he ends up sending him the product, and I think he actually even like takes it there, and he's like, well, give me your pitch. And he's like, I don't need to pitch you. I've told you, what how great this product is and all this different stuff. And they end up signing with him, and it was like this whole big thing. If I can find the story, I'll link it in the show notes. But it kind of just goes back to what we're saying about like getting in front of the right people, understanding your product, and knowing who the key players are, and having a plan of who you want to be your end user, or whatever that goal is like, just be consistent. If you have a passion for it, it pays off.
Mhm, mhm. Um, I know we're probably running tight on time, but I have to tell these couple stories because I think they kind of like fall in line with what you were talking about. So we did this one really cool campaign, and it was like a post-it note campaign, and it was a three-step campaign. So basically, the first, and it was direct mail. So the first one was just a little, like the pink post-its while you were out. And
Mhm.
so basically, it was a direct mail postcard, and it was like, and it was pink, and it looked like, one of those. It's like, while you were out, I tried to get a hold of you, but I really need to talk to you about this. And then the second one is like a much bigger pink post-it note, right? And then there was a ginormous one that we had to put it in a tube
Oh my
and
gosh.
in a tube. And so basically it was, you send out the first postcard, follow up with a call. Send out the second bigger pink post-it note, and then follow up with a call. Send out the thing in a tube, follow up on the call. And then when you get the post-it note, then it tells you, gives you directions, go to this landing page and fill out the form. I had gotten this call on this post-it note, and these guys were like, "Oh my god, you're brilliant. Who came up with this marketing campaign? I want to hire them, blah 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 blah." And they're just like, but then we also had some other people were like, do you think I'm an idiot? Do you think I don't know how to get a hold of you? Because like this is like insane. Like you sent me, but it really just depends on your audience and like how they're going to respond to it. But so consider that. But still, the thing is like, holy cow! Like you got my attention because just the plain old boring like postcard thing was not going to do it. And so the other piece of that too is, oh, here's one other one that was really cool. It was a Ferrari campaign. And so we were doing a thing for an IT managed service client, and they were partners with HP. And so you can like work with vendors, and they have like co-marketing dollars that you can use. And so basically the client didn't have to pay anything. We just like managed it for them, and it was the same like a box, and it was like this remote control Ferrari. So you like, on the outside of the box is like, hello Michelle, and then you open it and it's like, what, like there's this red Ferrari, and it's a remote control. Well, they did not include the remote control. So in order to get the remote control piece, you had to accept the meeting. And then the IT client or company would then meet with you. Hey, you want the Ferrari, right? And so at least it got them in the door. And that was a really cool campaign, was super great success too. Isn't
Very
that fun?
cool. Those are both really fun.
I want to
I
do
think we
something
need
like
to,
that.
like we need to do that again.
Let's do that for Thrive Pop. What can we do?
Okay.
Let's do a brainstorming session. Let's do it.
We gotta talk about our budget. Oh man. Well, I hope that you guys today we talked a lot about campaigns and different ideas and really understanding what it means to track a good campaign and also having that goal and the idea in place before you even start putting your budget together. We have some tools as far as um, if you really need to like drill down of what should my marketing dollars really look like, we have some tools that can help you work through that so you're not having to pull out the big calculator and figure that out because who wants to do that? Definitely not me. That's why we have those other things in place. So we'll link all those things below. And as always, thank you for listening to Marketing That Pops. We hope that you guys liked our episode today and that you give us 5 stars. Give us 5 stars.
Yes, and come to our social and comment on our social and say, "Hey, I love Michelle and Olivia, and they're awesome, and we love all of these crazy stories you guys share." So,
Yes, if you go to our social and if you do listen, I feel like you guys should comment a little money symbol emoji so that we know that you guys listen to this episode of the podcast. So we'll be looking for you guys.
and we'll send you a little surprise too if you do that. I'm gonna throw that in there for you.
Perfect.
All right.
Okay. Well, we got to go talk about our marketing budget and come up with our own campaigns. So we will check you guys later.
See
Bye.
ya. Bye.
Thanks for listening with us today. Stay tuned for the latest in web marketing and design from ThrivePop. Want to be a pop star? Head over to thrivepop.com/podcast to join our mailing list for episode notifications, sneak peeks, listener feedback, and more.